Welcome to Depthline. Today, we're breaking down the brand new action thriller from director Edgar Wright, starring Glen Powell, a fresh adaptation of a Stephen King novel that hits way too close to home. This is the story of a country where your death is prime-time entertainment, and the poor are kept quiet by watching other poor people die on live television. The rules are brutally simple. Survive 30 days. $100 for every hour you stay alive. Another $100 for every hunter you kill. Make it to the end, and you walk away a billionaire. Just one problem: nobody ever has. Stick around, because this one goes from a desperate father's last resort to a full-blown revolution. The story opens in a near-future America run by a single all-powerful media corporation called the Network. Most people live in crumbling poverty with no access to real medicine, while the network keeps the masses distracted with cheap, violent reality shows. Above the gray, decaying city stands one gleaming tower crowned with a massive red letter N, watching everything like an all-seeing eye. We meet Ben Richards, a construction worker crammed into an apartment the size of a garage with his wife Sheila and their little girl. The child is seriously ill with the flu, but the family can only afford counterfeit medicine that does nothing. Sheila works punishing hours at a shady club and is starting to consider what else she might have to sell to keep them afloat. And the reason they're this desperate? Ben can't hold a job. He has a temper, and it detonates every single time he watches a boss abuse a worker. Out of options, Ben shows up at a construction site and begs the foreman for his old job back. He even brings his sick daughter along, hoping it'll soften the man. It doesn't. You can see Ben's fists tighten, one word away from breaking the guy's jaw, but his daughter is watching, so he swallows it. No job, no money, a dying kid. So he walks into the network's tower and signs up for the deadliest show on television. Waiting for him is Dan Killian, the ruthlessly charming producer behind the network's flagship program, The Running Man. Josh Brolin plays him with a predator's smile and corruption practically radiating off him. Killian is arguably the most powerful man in the country. The government answers to him, not the other way around. He offers Ben a deal with the devil: become a contestant, weaponize that rage of yours, and give the show the ratings it's been missing. Here's the deal. Survive 30 days while professional killers called hunters track you down. Every move you make gets broadcast to a bloodthirsty nation. $100 an hour for breathing, 100 more for every hunter you take out. Reach day 30 and you get $1 billion and anything else you ask for. But there's a cruel paradox baked into the format. The audience roots for the hunters. They want the contestant dead. And the longer you survive, the more famous you become, which only makes them hungrier to watch you finally fall. Ben signs. He does it for his wife and daughter, and he tells himself he can win. They give him a small head start, drop him into the city, and let the hunt begin. Hosting the carnage is Bobby T., played by Coleman Domingo, a magnetic showman who turns every death into must-see television for millions. Leading the hunters is a masked figure named Evan McCone, played by Lee Pace. McCone is terrifyingly good at his job, ice-cold, methodical, and clearly enjoying himself. With his squad of elite killers, he chases Ben across the country while cameras capture every second of it. Ben figures out fast that survival means using everything he's got: street smarts, raw strength, and the ability to disappear into a crowd. He runs through slums, hides in condemned buildings, and tries to blend in with people who might turn him in for the reward. Along the way, some of them help instead. His old friend Molly, played by William H. Macy, sets him up with fake papers and a gloriously nerdy disguise, mustache and all. He also crosses paths with Elton Parakis, a jittery writer who prints underground pamphlets, played by Michael Cera. Elton is haunted by his father, an honest cop who got pushed off the force precisely because he was honest, and ended up selling hot dogs on a street corner. Elton throws in with Ben because he believes this manhunt could be the spark that finally lights the fuse. One of the film's biggest set pieces goes down in a luxury hotel in Boston. When the hunters surround the building, Ben slips into the basement and blows the whole place apart from underneath, escaping through smoke and fire while the structure comes down behind him. Edgar Wright shoots it like a love letter to the action cinema of the 80s and 90s. Out on the highway, Ben takes a civilian hostage, a woman named Amelia Williams, played by Amelia Jones. Amelia is anxious, talkative, and completely convinced that Ben is the monster the network says he is. But the more time she spends with him, the more the official story falls apart. The network lies. It edits reality. It manufactures villains for ratings. Amelia represents everyone who's comfortable enough not to ask questions. She has her reality shows, her self-driving car, her corporate conveniences, while other people starve and die without medicine. She isn't cruel. She's just insulated. And her transformation is the heart of the film's message. A revolution needs more than a symbol. It needs ordinary people to finally wake up. Day after day, Ben keeps surviving, and something shifts. Graffiti starts appearing on walls across the country. Richards lives. People stop seeing a criminal and start seeing proof that the system can be beaten. Killian is thrilled. The ratings are astronomical. He's also smart enough to realize this man has become a threat to everything he's built. On day 15, the network announces that the hunters have killed Ben's wife and daughter. It's a lie, engineered to break him on camera. Instead, it detonates him. Ben tears through the remaining hunters one after another until only McCone is left standing. Their final confrontation delivers the film's biggest gut punch. McCone pulls off the mask and reveals the truth. He was a contestant on The Running Man himself, years ago. He survived his season, and when Killian offered him a choice, he didn't burn the system down. He took the job. He chose power over the fight. McCone also tells Ben the network lied about his family. They're alive. But before he can say more, Ben kills him with a shard of glass from an airplane bathroom mirror. Yes, an airplane. By this point, Ben has hijacked a private jet, forcing Amelia to drive him to the runway at gunpoint. Killian and the flight crew are on board. With the hunters dead and the pilots gone, it's just Ben and Killian at 30,000 feet. The producer makes one final offer: stand down, become the network's biggest star, cash in on the fame, or die branded a terrorist. Ben refuses. So Killian engages the autopilot, points the plane back at the city, and goes live to the entire country with a fabricated story. Richards has seized an aircraft and intends to fly it into the network tower. The government scrambles a response and orders the jet shot down. The missile hits. The plane comes apart in midair. The broadcast freezes on the fireball, and Killian solemnly informs the nation that Ben Richards is dead, a terrorist who threatened innocent lives, neutralized just in time. Then, a pirate signal cuts in. Bradley, an underground broadcaster played by Daniel Ezra, goes live with a claim that changes everything. Richards survived. A civilian recovered the plane's black box, and the recordings prove the network fabricated all of it. Amelia had jumped with a parachute, carrying the evidence and Elton's pamphlets, exposing what the show really is. The proof spreads across the country in hours. Public rage boils over. Crowds converge on the network's headquarters with signs reading Richards' lives and demands that the executives answer for it. The revolution stops being a slogan and starts being a mob. An epilogue shows Ben reunited with Sheila and his daughter Katie outside a grocery store, buying her a pair of socks, an ordinary, almost funny detail after everything he went through. Officially, he's still a dead man. Unofficially, he's alive and living under a new name. Then Ben joins the crowd storming the network building. Backstage, Bobby T tries to walk away from the show, and Killian threatens him into staying. Killian decides to take the stage himself, convinced he can still control the narrative. But the crowd is past controlling. People start pouring over the barricades. In the final scene, Ben steps out of the mob. He draws McCone's pistol, counts down from 5 with a showman's timing, and says the one word every director says before a take rolls. Then, he shoots Killian dead in front of millions of live viewers. It isn't just revenge. It's a statement that the machine can be broken. The camera pulls back over burning streets, over a crowd tearing the network apart, over Richard's lives painted across the city. The revolution is underway, and one man who had nothing left to lose became the proof that it was possible. So what is this movie really about? It's not a nostalgia remake of the Schwarzenegger version. It's a sharp piece of political satire aimed squarely at modern America, at media that manufactures reality, at poor people entertained by the suffering of other poor people, at elites who never face consequences. Edgar Wright made something that works as a pure adrenaline chase and as a genuinely angry critique of an industry that turns human tragedy into content. The ending also breaks hard from the book. In King's original, Ben deliberately flies the plane into the network tower, killing himself, Killian, and everyone inside, an act of suicidal vengeance. Wright couldn't put that on screen in 2025 without invoking September 11th. So he rewrote it into something more hopeful. Ben survives, becomes a living symbol instead of a martyr, and settles the score with Killian face to face. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button and subscribe to Depthline. We cover Stephen King adaptations and dystopian action every week. Ring the bell so you don't miss the next one. And tell me in the comments, do you prefer the book's ending or the movies? And honestly, how long do you think you'd last on that show? Thanks for watching, and remember, when a system turns lives into entertainment, revolution is the only